A 7-wicket win then for India to keep the series alive. They're 1-1 going into the decider. Let's look back at that second T20. I had Auckland on ESPN Cricinfo match. Deep Dasgupta springs into the studio next to me. 158 is all New Zealand managed on this occasion, whereas batting first in the first, they managed a hefty 219. Colin de Grandham's runs the common factor, but a much improved bowling spell, Deep, and bowling performance from India. And if we are to get into the reasons, let's start right there. Very good with the new ball in the power play.
Yeah.
And Krunal Pandya proving to be a little added bonus in that power play too.
Absolutely. I think the difference was the power play. I mean, look at India's power play. They got around 50 odd without losing a wicket, and New Zealand was the other way around. They also got around 50 odd, close to 50, but they had lost 3 wickets, and that's where you kind of lose the momentum, and that's one of the reasons that they scored below par total in batting first. So I think power play, as you mentioned, starting with Bhuvneshwar Khalil, good comeback from Khalil because he's been a tad bit expensive even in Australia, the last T20. So it was a good comeback from him. And talking about Krunal, I think bowled beautifully. I think the fact that he comes across as a street smart cricketer, who's very sharp. He understands the game situation, the opposition. And I think he's a good addition to the Indian side. I won't be too surprised to see him post-World Cup in the ODI setup as well.
I was going to tease it. I was actually going to tease it because I know you're a Krunal Pandya fan, and actually I am too, just from something about him which tells you, that he could be a valuable ODI cricketer too. Decent list A performances off late, probably been compared to a Jadeja who's part of the Indian ODI setup. But you look at Krunal Pandya, you give him a spin bowler, conventional orthodox finger spinner, gets a bowl in the power play, it still is effective. What is it about Krunal Pandya that makes him an effective T20I bowler that gives you this optimism that he could even be a long form bowler?
I think his awareness, his game awareness is very good. I mean, even when he bats, and I still look at him as a batsman who can bowl.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I look at him someone who can bat in your top 5, a left-hander in the top 5. And then again can get his few overs in as well. And if you look at last few T20s that he's played, he's actually finished his quota of 4 overs every time he's bowled. In fact, he's got out of the last 3 T20s, he's been man of the match in the last 2. So I think the fact that and his temperament, it's you can teach people how to turn the ball, you can teach people how to hit sixes, but the temperament is something whether either you have it or you don't, and I think Krunal has it.
All right, 3 for 28 for Krunal Pandya, most impressive spell for an Indian bowler in T20Is against New Zealand, and yet another man of the match performance, picked up one in Australia as well, if I remember correctly. So good start to his short form career for India in international cricket. Now, courtesy of the wickets that he had, and one perhaps that he'd feel he got lucky with the umpiring. We'll come to that later. But it could have, New Zealand did post some sort of fight back, courtesy Colin de Grandham's maiden T20I 50. So let's talk about the all-rounders innings. Very impressive, 50 of 28, Deep, striking at 178, 4 sixes. We know he can hit the long ball, and nice touch being shown less than a month before the IPL.
Yeah, and this was an important knock. I mean, New Zealand was struggling when he came into bat. And he's been in good touch, as you've mentioned, the ODI before this as well. He did pretty much, pretty well with the bat, so to say. But I think, I kind of like him because he kind of follows his instincts. He's a very natural, instinctive kind of a player. So, I mean, and especially in this format, this suits him more than even ODI. That's what I think.
Yeah, came in at 4 for 50, went out 5 for 127. You think if Colin de Grandham was just getting into the mood as those last few overs were coming up on the New Zealand innings, had he just gone on, whether it would have given New Zealand a better score. But India's death bowling has to be given full credit, and Colin de Grandham, of course, getting the runs just over a month with the IPL coming up. Let's have a look at India's death bowling too. And this was the other area that they would have liked to improve upon. But from overs 16 to 20, Khalil Ahmed, I think that would be the biggest pleasant, welcoming sign for India. That Khalil Ahmed was the, and even if it's 1 over, you can have 1 over that can change the score from 150 to 175 in T20 cricket.
Absolutely. I think the wicket of de Grandhomme made a huge difference. He was looking good, looking dangerous when he got out. I think it was a 16th over. I think it was Hardik's over, which which saw his downfall. Yeah, I mean, irrespective of that, Ross Taylor was still around, but I think Bhuvneshwar Khalil bowled beautifully and was very smart bowling from all of them, to be honest, because of the dimension of the ground. The side boundaries are big. So if you look at their pitch maps and all, it was predominantly back of length, where you encourage the batsman to play horizontal bat shots. Even in the death, the Yorkers that were tried were wide Yorkers. So you kind of forcing the batsman to use the longish wide boundaries. So I think it was very smart bowling, even Krunal for that matter. I mean, kind of it naturally helps, those dimensions naturally helps Krunal a little more than the other bowlers because he's quick in the air, he's flatter, so he can get away with anything pitched short on grounds like these.
Yes, good complete all-round bowling performance from India, and it was backed up by Rohit Sharma with the bat and Shikhar Dhawan for company, the two of them doing what they do considerable ease these days in white ball cricket. 50 for the Indian captain, so keeps his juggernaut going and also takes him to the top of the pile as far as the highest run scorers in T20I cricket goes past Martin Guptill, who's missing this series through injury, but at 2,288 runs, Rohit Sharma from 92 matches. Virat Kohli hasn't played as much T20I cricket as Rohit Sharma, otherwise you think he'd be pretty close, but prolific run getter in both shorter formats, Deep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rohit hasn't looked back. For last 2-3 years has been phenomenal with white ball, whether it's ODI or T20. And today was no different. And I think, again, going back to the ground dimensions, it kind of helps his kind of batting because, on grounds like these, more often than not, the natural length of the bowler would be a little back of length. And
because you've got a long square boundary, so you're thinking that you can get the batsman.
Exactly. So naturally, the length that the bowler would bowl would be a little back of length, forcing the batsman to play horizontal bat shots, and that's where Rohit is so good, and that's kind of helped him. Especially in this game, and again, he's a class act, no two ways. Yeah,
another class innings then from Rohit Sharma, but he had his moments while he was in the field too, in a long discussion with the on-field umpires after Daryl Mitchell's controversial dismissal. It sort of maybe set the tone for India after that power play, but looking at the replays, hearing the commentary, seeing what you saw, a mark on hot spot, but not a mark which coincides with the timing of the spike on real-time Snicko. And therefore, the third umpire ruling that there was no bat. Should Daryl Mitchell feel like a grave injustice, or New Zealand feel like a grave injustice has been done at a crucial point in the game?
I won't be surprised if he feels a little stronger than just injustice there. But listen, you have rules, and again, you need to follow the rules. But end of the day, it's also about interpretation. I mean, you being a student of law, you would know better than me. The interpretation is so important. Just because it says, okay, you miss a frame then, and we all know technologically there it is a possibility that you lose a frame, you miss something between the frames. But then you saw the hot spot there. I can understand, I feel disappointed if I get out because of a howler for the on-field umpire, but now you don't have that kind of excuse anymore.
An error on interpretation from the third umpire for you?
Yes.
Even before we go to real time and hotspot, when you saw the front-on spin vision as a person who's played the game at the highest level, you can see that he's hit it. You're seeing that little deflection.
You don't actually really need to go to your hotspot and Snickos and all, because you could see that in slow motion. There was an inside edge and it was quite visible, the front on cameras, the slow motion. But again, the hotspot, you saw the hotspot there, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, end of the day, the tool, the DRS tool, is to assist the umpire, not take over the umpire. End of the day, it's the umpire who needs to take a call based on those tools that he has. So I thought, he followed the rules, he followed the protocol, but he made a mistake.
I mean, T20I cricket is where local umpires, or rather the home board appoints all umpires. Could also be a case of Sean Haig's inexperience in dealing with the DRS, or we've seen more elite umpires perhaps make the same mistake. Should TV umpiring be given a different level of education? They need to be taught how to interpret this more accurately?
Absolutely. And also, they need to know about technology as well, as you and I are talking about,
in between frames
and stuff that you can miss out. I mean, as an umpire who's going to make those decisions, they also need to know, that you cannot really 100% depend on technology. There it's still 99%, as people would say it. So, end of the day, you follow your instincts. I mean, you follow your instincts. That's the reason you're an umpire and we aren't. So you follow your instincts, and then you have all these tools to help you out with that.
It's a thankless job, but they're not making life any easier for themselves. Thank you, Deep Dasgupta, for your thoughts on that second T20I. Let's be fair, India looked like the better team over the course of that game, regardless of the Daryl Mitchell decision. But the good news for the Indian fans is that they go into the decider with the series level 1-1 after a 7-wicket win at Auckland.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.